Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at F3 Uranium. This was a stock analysis request from one of the followers, and I wanted to let you know that anyone can make these requests and I'll most likely cover them, especially if there is an actionable trade setup to follow. And this isn't the first time we have been covering this chart. We have been looking for this correction in a wave 2 for quite a while. It might have been a couple of months since the last video, but we were tracking here a potential larger leading diagonal to be forming, where this would be a wave 1 to the upside. We would have here a correction in the wave 2 into the area of support between the 16-cent level all the way down to the 5-cent level, and then we would like to see an ABC structure to form the next wave 3 to the upside. Now, this isn't necessarily the only possibility. We could also be facing a larger ABC movement still to unfold, in which case we would expect instead a 5-wave move to the upside, although the proportions would rather be smaller, because for the wave 3 we would be looking here at an ideal target at the 138.2% extension of the wave 1, which is around the $7.5 level, while for the wave C to the upside to unfold within this area, we would be only looking for an ideal target at the 100% extension of the wave A, which is the $2.4 level instead. Now, that is an ideal target. We don't need to get there and we don't need to stop there. It is just a level the wave C is generally drawn towards. And within this area, within this chart, it is a bit unfortunate that something more bullish cannot necessarily be tracked. But yeah, unfortunately, in this initial movement to the upside, I cannot really track anything other than just an ABC structure, in which case, yeah, I would rather consider it to be an ABC movement in a wave 1 or an ABC movement within a wave A. I cannot really track here a double 1-2-1-2 setup, which makes the overall potential for trade setups of this chart much less reliable, much less lucrative, and yeah, makes for a harder time to track reliable patterns. Now, in this area of support, we may have actually formed a bottom, and this comes in quite nicely with the recent application for a listing on the Nasdaq exchange for this stock, and yeah, that might line up for a third wave to follow to have increased volume. Now, we aren't going to focus too much on that. This is going to be more of a technical analysis, but within this area, we may have formed a more significant bottom, and I have been tracking this additional high only as an overshoot. Yeah, this is only an ABC movement that I'm tracking within this area, only an overshoot within a wave B. I'm not tracking this as an extension of the wave 1, and in this case, I consider this pattern as possibly complete within an ABC structure, where I don't need any additional lows for the wave C to be complete. I don't need any additional lows for the large wave 2 to be complete. I have a 3-wave pattern into the area of support, and I can track continuation in a larger movement to the upside. Now, since we don't have on the larger time frame a reliable 5-wave move to track for a 3-wave correction into an area of support, we will need to realistically be tracking an internal area, an internal initial 5-wave move to the upside for a follow-up correction in 3 waves for a high probability trade setup, because unfortunately we just don't have it available right now. And even though the area of support that we did have could be used as an accumulation area, it's not necessarily a high probability trade setup, which yeah, forces us to track on a smaller scale a potential trade setup to look for a high probability continuation higher within at least an additional 5-wave move to the upside. Now, if we actually succeed in building the larger structure in the large leading diagonal, sure, that would be interesting to track afterwards a 3-wave correction in a wave 2 for a follow-up in a wave 3, but at the moment we don't have anything that is highly suggestive of continuation in this uptrend. We in fact are still in an overall downtrend, and yeah, we need to be aware that this structure isn't suggesting we should expect with high probability at the moment that we should continue higher. Now, as I was mentioning, within this area we have a possible ABC structure, although extensions are not out of line just yet, because we only formed a tiny move to the upside so far. In fact, I am able to track an internal resistance area within this movement down, where if we actually follow through to the downside, we may need to expect even further continuation within this correction. And you see, as of now, I am tracking this as a 1, 2, 3, 4th and the 5th for a wave C to the downside. If we form here a 5-wave move down, well, I would rather need to consider this either a wave A of the 5th wave down, but even more possibly a wave C of an ABC movement within a wave 3. In that case, I will need afterwards to be prepared for even further continuation for a correction in a wave 4 and the 5th wave down. And at this point, we only have 3 waves to the downside, which is good because we are tracking this as an ending diagonal, but a completion of another wave to the downside would be rather suggestive of continuation lower in a larger structure within this wave C. Now for this I will be tracking internally here a 5-wave move that could be extending here, and let's say we do this within the orange interpretation, for which we can track an area of resistance at the levels between the 23.6% retracement all the way up to the 61.8% retracement at the 19-cent level. A break above the 61.8% retracement or in a sustained manner would signal that this structure is very likely not going to extend lower, but we would still need to be facing further resistance areas because, yeah, we would still have a rather more generic area of resistance we would still need to track for, who knows, something like a larger WXY pattern. Even a larger ABC movement could still occur even if we manage to break the internal area of resistance. But for this, we are tracking the levels between the 21 cent all the way up to the 39 cent level. Now, with this said, we have the resistance areas in place, we have the interpretations we need to focus on the smaller time frame, but one, we actually may be able to track here in the very small time frame an initial 5-wave move to the upside. Now keep in mind, within this structure we unfortunately lack resolution and it only moves within 0.5 cent candles, and yeah, it is a bit difficult to track, but we may be able to expect an initial 5-wave move to have formed to the upside within this area, and we may be able to track an internal area of support, although keep in mind the lack of resolution. Yeah, it is going to make trading and tracking this a lot more difficult at these levels, but here for this I would be watching the levels between the 15 cents all the way down to the 12.5 cent level at the 78.6% retracement for continuation higher if we happen to enter a larger correction at this point. But I would realistically not be going to get even deeper into this area, even into these smaller time frames, and yeah, instead, other than that, we will be focusing here on the larger time frame. But for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.